Okay, good morning, Commissioner. It's February 28th. We are at the end now of February, where we have celebrated all month Black History Month. How are you?
Doing all right, Kenny. The reason why we've added these little tidbits of facts of which awareness month they are is because we've been in this for so long. This pandemic has stretched on for now close to a year. In a couple
Amazing.
of weeks, we will mark the kind of anniversary of when the world just turned upside down. So yeah, coming out of Black History Month, across the department, divisions, and area offices, diversity action teams kept the tradition alive. They did some
They sure did.
tremendous virtual activities to keep staff connected and to keep us, learning more about each other and about our rich diversity and particularly rich Black history. And, down in Norwalk, they did a vegan soul food cooking class
Who would have
virtually.
thought? Yeah.
Yeah, they're demonstrating the tremendous talents of our staff and some of the youth that we have in care. People were very creative and very innovative. I participated in a wonderfully well done program by the legal division. So
Yeah.
across the department, people were keeping those traditions alive, and it was great. It was really,
Yep.
really nice.
And at the central office Black History Month celebration, we heard songs and music by some of our youth that were just fantastic. And we also celebrated Christopher Bitterini from our New Britain office as the recipient of this year's Janet Williams Humanitarian Award. So
Boy, I tell you,
congratulations to Chris.
I wouldn't
Uh,
have wanted to be the selection committee there because
yeah,
there were just a tremendous array of really strong leaders across the department who, in their community and in their everyday work at DCF, are doing some amazing things. And Chris, what kind of rose to the top there. He's a social worker in the New Britain office and
yep.
has just done some wonderful things as part of his fraternity, as well as part of being a member of our workforce. I see that he was doing even a webinar this weekend related to domestic minor sex trafficking. So, he's kind of a jack of all trades and
Yes.
really is inspired, he says, by his parents who he promised. And, they've passed away. And, we saw him overcome by emotion in receiving the award because he promised to them that he would be a humanitarian, and he has done just that. So,
But
congratulations, Chris. We are very proud of you and all the work that you're doing to kind of advance so many areas of awareness that we need to pay attention to.
absolutely. And so as we end February, tomorrow starts Social Worker Appreciation Month and Women's History Month. And in our Spotlight on What's Right newsletter that went out this past week, we really celebrated the unbelievable accomplishments of three remarkable women within our department, nicknamed
The lighthouse in the fog. This has just been, like we like to say that we've kept you enlightened over the year, these last few months. But there have been times where it just feels tremendously overwhelming. And I am brought back to one of our many, many leadership conversations as we've tried to keep the work of the department going. And Dr. Gregory at Solnet said, working with the three of Dr. Taylor, Aaron Ryan, and Jody EJ has just been like, you see a lighthouse. And to me, that was just a prophetic way to
it
say
sure
that
was.
even in the midst of all the chaos and uncertainty, sometimes, you need those people that are beacons of steadiness. And that's what they've been, kind of
Yeah.
leading our direction. And Dr. Taylor encourages us all the time that we're on the other side of this. And, at the end of our discussion today, when we talk about what our stats and our trends look like, she's right. We're on the downside of it if we just remain vigilant through these last phases of what
Yeah.
has just been
Yeah.
a tremendously, tremendously strange time in our
Yeah.
nation's history, our country, our
It's,
world's
it,
history.
it sure has. And when you read the stories about each one of these women, they have clearly their own passion and reasons why they do the work. So we encourage everybody to read up on that. We'll include a link certainly in our memo. And again, congratulations once again to the Lighthouse trio.
It sounds
Um,
like a band, Ken. They should probably start a singing group.
Bestseller, yes, the best of. And again, the work that they've done in contact tracing leads us to the next huge topic that is being discussed statewide. Is we now have clarity on the vaccine rollout, which will continue to be aged based per the governor's office directive. So, what can you tell DCF staff about that?
So that was a bit of a shift from where
Mm-hmm.
we originally had talked about a couple of weeks ago. We were waiting for the phased rollout and the stratification of what essential workers meant.
Yeah.
And there was a decision by the governor based on just the totality of the rollout and the magnitude by which you want to get vaccine to the most vulnerable people in
People.
terms of age, because we know that by far the largest number of people who have died from this virus have been older. And so the age based criteria was less complicated than some of the other ways that they were looking to try to stratify and break down
Yeah.
things. And then it became hard to distinguish which essential group should have priority over other essential groups,
Mm-hmm.
because we can make our arguments all day, but then other sectors also may have very valid reasons for where they felt they should be on the priority list. And,
Right.
the governor has said his attention to equity in terms of distribution to vulnerable communities has been in the forefront of his thinking. And so this age-based distribution should get vaccine in the arms of
Mm-hmm.
citizens of Connecticut quicker, which will get to the equity issue that he's looking to try to help. But, he has said that the virus itself has disproportionately impacted communities of color
Yes.
at twice the rate, and then vaccine administration by only half. So, for all of our staff of color, I really want you to take a look at the material that's being disseminated, make some informed decisions
Yeah.
on your own. And for all of our staff, really know what you're doing in terms of making, whatever decision is right for your own personal choices. But by any means, if you have decided to accept the vaccine, please follow the criteria of when your age group comes up. So
Yeah.
that means, because of this shift, there will not be state employee sponsored clinics, as originally thought that the comptroller was organizing.
Yeah.
This age based rollout has now means that people will do those registering for the virus,
Right.
scheduling your appointments, registering for the vaccine, excuse me, scheduling your appointments on your own. So we will include a link to how to do that,
Yep.
and as much information as we get to make sure people can make their own personal choices. We'll share that with you when we get
Yep.
it.
Yep. So again, we'll have a link right in our memo. We know that tomorrow, March 1st, those 55 and up are
Mm-hmm.
eligible to register. March 22nd, now I believe it's anybody 45 years of age and up can go. I'm in March 22nd. Let's go, right? So again, it was important we clarify that, and we'll provide staff information. So, Commissioner, other than that, I think before we move to our statistics, we did want to remind everybody that we are full force in our legislative session. You have testified on a number of very important bills. Our legislative liaison, Vinnie Russo's done just a fantastic job pulling multiple people together. So we really want to encourage staff to become involved. Um, Take a look at the General Assembly website, the YouTube channels. What else would you like staff to know about our session that's underway?
Yeah, just, this is an unusual session because it's virtual. And, typically you and Vinny would be over in the halls of the
Living
LOB
there.
in the Capitol, kind of talking to different legislators, advocates, and lobbying groups for the different stakeholders that really pay attention to what happens to children's issues. And so we've kind of had to do that all virtually. And
Yeah,
it's been, uh, to say the least, different.
different.
Kate
Yeah,
and Kate Dwyer in our legal division, and Vinnie Russo, and even our Joanna Schmidt, who's one of our executive assistants,
fantastic.
who's doing an internship for the organization is about kind of government leaders and
Yeah,
really understanding the mechanics behind that, are really working together as a trio to make sure that all of the bills that have interest to the work that we do, whether or not we have to provide more information or support or refute
yeah,
something that comes up, because you wouldn't be surprised how many people make recommendations for bills on things that we already do. So we have to do a
right.
better job sometimes of just explaining and communicating the things that we know that that impact kids,
Yeah.
families, and communities that we serve. So yeah, this please stay tuned and watch CTN or any of the links that the Connecticut General Assembly provides to make sure that you see, where the department fits on all of that. So
Sure.
yeah, we got you covered.
We got you covered in many ways, many ways. So for those staff who do not wish to hear the most recent statistics, you can certainly log off now. So what we have is our current numbers are caregivers 329, youth 248, and 319 staff that literally over the past year have tested positive for COVID-19.
Look at that,
And
Ken. Yeah.
yeah, and Commissioner, I
Yeah.
think we were talking before we got on air, right? That the numbers that we are seeing in February look like they pretty much match October
Yeah.
of last year. So we are going
Mhm.
in a good direction.
So if you think about early fall and where we were, we certainly were not out of the woods in terms of, what we looked like last summer, which was a little bit lower. So
Yeah,
February and October look to have a bit of a parallel. Of course, February is a shorter month than October, but
yeah,
we also do see a sharp decline. So we do want to remind everybody in terms of their vigilance related to continued mask wearing, particularly because of the increase in the different types of variants that are out there, continued high hand hygiene and social distancing. I don't know if you saw it, but read an article that talked about how low we were in flu transmission this season because of
yeah,
all the mitigation
yeah,
strategies related to COVID. So it just tells
yeah,
you that some of those things that we can do to simply really try to stamp out the spread of any of those communicable viruses
yeah.
is really a benefit. This has become a way of life. Our
It sure
masks, our
has.
social distancing, and the way that we continue to wash our hands.
We were talking in the office the other day, while maintaining social distance, of course, about even the common cold that, over the
Yeah,
past year, I may have had a couple of very quick colds, but it's nowhere near what
right.
we typically would for a year. So, all
Yeah.
very good reminders. We need to stay vigilant. A lot of great efforts by all of us in the department to continue to do the right thing.
Yep.
Vaccines are coming; they're here. We just have to all stay strong.
We do. And the work of the department continues. We've said all along DCF never shut. And what we see now is kind of the work of the agency coming back to the forefront. And our
Yeah,
meetings don't start with all of the COVID stuff anymore. While we're remaining vigilant, still, maintaining the health and safety of our staff is priority, along with the mission critical work of the agency, continues to be what we do every single day. And I can't thank you. Whoops.
whoop. I think your camera just dropped.
The wonder
As we're ending, that's quite an exit, Commissioner. That's quite an
of
exit.
remote technology. Shout out to all of our regulars. That was an outtake that we'll leave in.
With that being said, have a great couple weeks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye.